Hey guys, and welcome to Faith Works Designs. I am Faith, and I have something very exciting to share with you guys today that we have been waiting for months. The game around is coming out, and there are so many sew-alongs. But this is the one that I've been waiting for because my kids are going to be so excited, and yours might be too. We've made it into a crossbody, but you could make it into a book bag if your little ones wanted one or not. It's up to you. Introducing the Switch Crossbody. A certain somebody in the group wanted these bags because they really like gaming, and we're not going to mention any names, Alex. There is a ton in this next game around, so make sure that you save your money so that you can buy a ton of stuff in this round. So they've got the artwork so that we have our little Switch controllers on the sides. We actually have an ITA insert on the inside, which I'll show you in a second. And then you've got the back, so it looks like you're carrying around a Switch. We have our cute, and I didn't show you these guys, we have our cute little zipper pulls. That light is just of no help whatsoever. We've got these cute rainbow zipper pulls. I really love Kim's rainbow pulls. Alright, on the inside, so we have two slip pockets on this side. I know it's going to be really hard to see. We've got two slip pockets on this side, and then on the inside there is a clear, we made like a pocket so that our ITA board can go in and out of there. So let's see. So you just snap a couple of snaps and you can take your ITA board out. You can put your pins on it, you can put it back in your bag, and you'll be good to go. Not only do you have Mario, but we've got Minecraft! My boys keep coming in this room and they keep looking at that panel and the inside of the fabrics. They're like really into axolotls and foxes lately. So they're inside of the bag. I'll show you the lining in a second. But we've got, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but there's foxes and little axolotls, and you've got your two slip pockets in here, and then you've got your ITA board in here. And when you take out your ITA board, there's your little foxes and axolotls. And my kids were looking at these and they were like, it's a mama fox with a baby fox. I didn't see any of that, and they totally did because they always catch everything. Because there was two versions, I went ahead and made one like we're going to do in the video, and then I made a second one. I made it with foam because I felt like it needed a little bit more stability. Foam was a little bit nicer as far as like giving a body to it. However, it was a little bit more difficult. If you want to see how that was made, you need to stay for after the credits. I will give you kind of a quick tutorial on how to do it with the foam. It was not fun. Quick disclaimer, you are going to need one piece of vinyl for the very front here. It needs to be clear. I wouldn't do anything with like a print on it or anything. But the clear vinyl here is going to be 6.5 by 7. I will put the measurement up here if I got it wrong. It's been a long week. Let's get started because I am so excited. Alright, so we've got your panel. It will come in a roll. The lining and the outer fabric will all be there. It'll have everything that you need to make your bag. It'll come all rolled up. When you unroll it, you will see your outer panel. Today I'm working with pebble vinyl. I just kind of like the texture of it. The lining. You are going to need to have waterproof canvas to be able to kind of make like the ITA style bag so that you can have your screen. So we have Minecraft, which is very, very cool. And then there's another option. You don't get both of these in your packet. You will either be able to choose Minecraft or you'll choose Mario, but you won't get both. I just wanted to show you guys what they looked like. So you'll have the Minecraft or you'll have the Mario screen. So with the waterproof canvas, it can be ironed so that you can make sure that it's nice and flat. You just need to use like a pressing cloth or something. I find that if the iron is on steam and you leave it in one place for too long, it ends up kind of like shrinking just a little bit. So I use a pressing cloth every single time I iron this to get it nice and flat. Something else you can iron. You will get a clear piece of vinyl inside of your packet. You can take this to your ironing board and you can put a pressing cloth over it and just very lightly press it so that it's nice and flat. When it's staying rolled up real tight, your vinyl is going to want to like just kind of curl up on itself. And so I just put a pressing cloth on top of it. Don't leave it for too long or you're going to melt that vinyl. Now let's talk about hardware real quick. I've got my little container to keep all of my hardware nice and organized for me. So what we're going to need is we're going to need some zipper tape. I will give you the measurements in just a minute when we get started. K&A carries this black on black. Anytime I've looked for it anywhere, I always find like black and gunmetal, and they carry black on black, which I really, really like. You're also going to need 2 zippers. So these came with the Game Over book bag. If you guys haven't seen it yet, there's a Mario book bag, and she also sent along this Game Over tag. We're going to put it on the back of our Switch just for funsies, but if you want one of these, you can go on their site and they'll be on there. You're going to need a 1-inch strap adjuster and 2 1-inch swivel clasps. You're going to need 2 1-inch D-rings, and then you're going to need really cool webbing. So for the Mario, Kim sent along the Rainbow Stars webbing that they have, and it goes really good with what's going on the inside of the bag. And then for the Minecraft one, I thought this was really super cute. They have all the little Minecraft faces. I thought it was really cute. My kids are going to love this, especially the axolotl. But anyway, on the back, it's like that green Minecraft texture. So I have 3 yards today, and it depends on how much you're going to need if you want to make this into a book bag or if you just want to make it into a purse. If you want to make it into a purse, you're just going to need about 60 inches. If you want to make it into a book bag, you're going to need about 100-ish inches. Today in the video, I'm just going to be making it into a purse. So if you want to make it into a book bag, you're going to have to figure out all that by yourself. Alright, so let me cut out all of my outer pieces. Oh, do not cut your lining as it is. Cut your outer pieces first, and then use that as your template to cut your lining. You'll see in just a minute why. So let me go cut out my outer, and I'll show you guys why you need to use it as a template. Alright, I've got everything cut out. Let's go over measurements and everything before we get like started. So you've got your front panel and your back panel. They are going to measure 10 inches wide by 8.5 inches tall. Your controller pieces are going to measure 3 inches wide by 8.5 inches tall. Your top zipper gusset is going to measure 3 inches wide by 18 long. Your bottom gusset is going to measure 3 inches wide by 27.5 inches long. Your clear piece is going to be 9 inches wide by 7.5 inches tall. Now let's talk about why we need to use our outside pieces for our template. So if you're looking at your lining and you're taking your outer piece and laying them out together, they can be just like a hair off, either on the side or the ends or something like that. So if you find that your lining's too big, that's why. You need to take your outer pieces and cut out your lining pieces. I believe that's your front and back panel. So you're going to need to use that as a template because, as you can see, it's too large. So I am going to take my outer pieces and use them as a template to cut out my lining pieces, and then I will tell you what the rest of these 2 pieces should measure. Alright, so I have got all of my pieces and linings cut out. For your lining pieces, you're going to have 2 of these. They are going to be your slip pocket. So they're going to measure 5.5 inches tall by 10.5 inches wide. I'm going to go ahead and let's grab the slip pocket pieces so we can go ahead and get those done. We're going to put right side to right side, and what we're going to do is we're going to sew around, leaving ourselves a place to turn this inside out. So I'm going to leave myself about this much room, sew around, and then stop, making sure that we back stitch when we start and when we stop. Alright, so I have got a 3-stitch length. I also have a size 12 needle in here. That's the size that works best with K&A's vinyl and my machine. Your machine may be different. It's up to you which needle size you think will work best. but I always like to kind of let you guys know what I'm working with. Alright, so we got all of that done. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out these corners so that when we turn them inside out, our corners will lay nice and flat. Just try not to get your corners, try not to get your thread. And then just pull the corners through. So I've got a pair of scissors that kind of have like a rounded edge, and I'm just going to make sure that I've got those corners poked out as much as I can. So we're going to take these edges and turn them in about 1/4 of an inch. And with waterproof canvas, it's nice. You can just kind of press it and it'll stay in place. You can finger press it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and I'm not messing with where my seam is open. We're going to close that when we add it to our lining. What I am going to do is I'm going to go across this top and just top stitch all along there. Alright, so I just top stitched right across there. We're going to set this aside for just a minute. We're going to grab our lining pieces. So you're going to need let's see, let's make sure this matches up right. You're going to need one center and then two sides. What you're going to do is you're going to take right side to right side, making sure that your rounded edge on both sides, because you don't want to have it like this or it won't line up correctly. Make sure that you've got your rounded edges on the outside. So we're going to take right side to right side, and I'm going to clip those together and then take them to the sewing machine, and at 1/4 of an inch we're going to stitch those together. We're going to go ahead and do that for both of our panels. So I've got our other center and our other two sides, right side to right side. Alright, so I've got my stitch length at a 3. We're using 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and we're going to try and stay on track so that everything kind of matches up when we're done. Alright, now that we have that sewn, we're going to take this one side and we're going to push it down, and then we're going to sew our side panel over. Alright, now that we've got both of our linings all top stitched on the side, we're going to grab one of them and grab our slip pocket. What you're going to do is you're going to center your slip pocket on your lining and just do the best you can to center it. I know there's no way to clip this to itself so that you can make sure that it's completely even, but I'm going to take it like this with my hand underneath and carry it to the sewing machine. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to start on this corner, making sure to back stitch. We're going to sew down here across the bottom, closing up our open seam, and then back up to the top. Then we'll find the center and we'll make a stitch along here. So there's about a 1/2 inch overlap where the main back panel and the side panel meet up, if that helps you kind of lay your slip pocket out so that it's where it needs to be. And then you don't want it too close to the top or too close to the bottom, so that's why I kind of have it centered. Now I'm going to start with a 3 stitch length. Now that we've got our pocket on and it's still open up here, we're going to take this and fold it in half, making sure that the edges of the slip pocket are together. And then with this being waterproof canvas, it's going to be really nice to just kind of press it in place. And then you can just press with your fingers to find the center of your slip pocket. So now we're going to sew that. Still got a 3 stitch length. I'm going to make sure that I go up, go down a little bit, and then back stitch, and then go down. Alright, our slip pocket is all ready to go. We've got our center seam, so we have 2 pockets. Next thing we're going to do is set this aside. We're going to grab our main front panel that'll have like the cutout section, and then we're going to grab our blue and our red front controllers. Now, if you can't remember which one is which, Google it. That's what I've been doing all morning. I'm like, which side goes on where again? I can't remember. So your red side is going to go on the right, your blue side is going to go on the left. We're going to go ahead and take these and put them right sides together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going to sew them together and then pull them back and top stitch them. And I am debating over which thread to use, because I know I have the red but I don't have the blue, and I don't want to use black because black will stand out like a sore thumb, so I'm debating. Do whatever you want to do. I'm just gonna sit here and debate for a minute. So let's take this to the sewing machine. Alright, so I have still got my black thread in. I'm going to sew them together with that, and then I'm going to change my thread when I go to top stitch. My stitch length is at a 3, and you've got a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Alright, so the executive decision was to use beige. It normally doesn't show up too much on the outside of stuff. We shall see. Alright, so what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take this and you're going to need to open up your seams. And then what you're going to do is sew down one side and then back up the other. Alright, so I'm going to turn it over here and I'm going to press with my fingers as I'm sewing it so that that seam is pressed open. I'm also using a 4 stitch length. Alright, so we've got our front all done, and I will say I think I like the beige. I kind of wish I had just done black on this side and then did it separately and came back with the beige on the color side, but it's really up to you. I mean, it looks fine. Alright, set this aside. We're going to grab our back panel. Now, our back panel is going to be opposite because when it's finished, we're going to turn it over and it'll be on the back of this. I double checked that this is what the back of the Switch looks like, because it's reversed. I don't want Alex beating me, but the little knobs up here should both be at the top. So again, we're going to put right sides together. We're going to take it to the sewing machine, sew them together, top stitch, and all that jazz. Alright, so you're going to need a 3 stitch length and a 1/4 inch seam allowance for sewing them on, and then a 4 stitch length when you're going to top stitch. I'm just going to kind of fast forward through this because you've already seen me do it once. Alright, so we've got that all top stitched down and ready to go. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the lining with the slip pocket and we're going to put wrong side to wrong side. We're going to clip all the way around them. We are not doing this to our main front panel. We've got to do something else real quick before we can do that. But I figured we'd go ahead while we're here. We're going to base stitch around the edges and sew them together. So you've got wrong side to wrong side. Alright, so I've got my stitch length still at a 4, and then we're just going to, at 1/8 of an inch, just base stitch these two together. So we have got this all right. I wanted to make sure that you guys understood that the Switch like, it needs to be facing the right way is what I'm trying to say. So make sure that the top is up here and the top of your lining is up there, and that way your slip pockets aren't upside down, if that makes any sense whatsoever. You just need to double check that and make sure that's right. Alright, next thing we're going to do, I am going to grab an X-Acto knife, but if you want to use a pair of scissors, go for it. You know how when you're cutting with scissors and you're just going and you have to keep stopping to adjust, and sometimes that can cause cause you to do this number? I really like using an X-Acto knife because you just one straight movement all the way down or wherever you're going to, and I'm turning my panel as I'm cutting to get that round edge better. And I think I'm moving into the territory where you guys can't see me, so I'm going to stop. I know some of that was off camera, sorry. I was just trying to make a continuous cut. Alright, so we have got our white piece all cut out. Next thing I did was I grabbed some 1/4 inch double-sided tape, flipped it over, and I put one on each corner. Next thing you're going to need is your 8x7 piece of clear vinyl. And we're going to remove the paper. And then we're going to center as best you can and press it down. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our lining so that we're all facing the right way. So when you're looking at your switch, this is how it's supposed to look. So flip it over and make sure that your lining top is the same as your outer top, and they're both of the panels are facing the same direction like you did with the other lining in the back panel. You're going to make sure that your lining is right side out, and so that wrong side to wrong side of the panel is like that. And then I'm going to clip this together and I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and we are just going to sew around the box that we cut out. So our box that we cut out, we're going to sew around it 1/8 of an inch. Alright, so we have got a 4-stitch length. And what I'm going to do is I'm just following my sewing foot. So I'm going to keep this edge at the edge of my sewing foot and then following it all the way around. Alright, so we got all of those sewn together. Do not baste all the way around. We're going to have to put our snaps on the other side so that we can have our ITA part of the bag slip in. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn this on to the lining part. You're going to need a seam ripper. Try and get a nice sharp one, your lighter, and then a pair of snips for like the roundy bits that the seam ripper might not be able to get. And what you're going to do is very carefully insert your seam ripper close to your seam, and you want to get just a couple of fibers from that waterproof canvas. You do not want to accidentally poke your clear vinyl. I'm just getting a few fibers, just enough to get my seam ripper in there. Hopefully, can you see my seam ripper right here? I don't want to poke the clear vinyl. Oop, I did have it in there. Alright, so I'm going to seam rip as close as I can to that seam. And then I'm going to take my scissors and go around this corner. So now that you've got your lining cut out, you'll notice with your waterproof canvas that there might be a few like loose fibers on the edge. you need to first make sure that you've got your lining is cut out. You see this right here, how my lining's peeking out just a little bit? I need to go clean that up, and then I'm going to take my lighter and I'm just going to kind of go around the edges and melt those fibers. Be careful because you very well could melt your clear vinyl. So I'm just kind of barely taking it along the edge so that those fibers are nice and melted and I don't have to worry about them fraying or doing anything like that. You just need to be careful, because if you get your flame too close to that clear vinyl, it will melt it. Alright, look on the front of your bag and make sure that all of your lining is kind of out and nothing's peeking through, and if you're happy with that, we'll go to the next step. I'm going to clean up a few places that I can still kind of see peeking through, and then I'll show you what to do next. Alright, so now that this is all taken care of, we need to work on the ITA part of the board so that we can slip our ITA board in and out. And we're going to use a second piece of clear vinyl. In order for it to stay in there, we're going to need to use snaps. So I have my snap press and I have an awl so that I can make my holes. I've got a couple of caps. I've got my studs. And I've got my sockets. Hopefully I'm calling the right ones the right ones. Sometimes I get confused. Alright. What we're going to do is we're going to take our clear vinyl, and this is going to be really, really hard to see, so I'm going to try and keep the paper underneath of it so that you can see it. What we're going to do, this is just the easiest way that I found to be able to do it, is I'm going to take my small ruler and I'm going to measure in 3/4 that way and then a 1/2 inch up from the bottom. This paper is a little disconcerting, but I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. So it should look like that. You're going to have 3/4 in, 1/2 inch up. I'm going to take my awl at that spot and make a hole. Then I'm going to go over to the opposite side and do 3/4 in. Alright, so we're doing 3/4 in, 1/2 inch up. Poke a hole through that. Then turn this around and we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So 3/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch in, 1/2 inch up. Now that we've got all of our holes, your clear vinyl has this gray edge on it. We're going to take our cap and put it through that side, just like that. Then you're going to put all studs or all sockets on this one panel. So I'm going to grab my studs because it'll be a little bit easier to feel out where they need to go when I put them on my panel. So I've got my press, I've got my cap on one side and my stud on the other side, and I'm going to do that for all 3 of the other sides. And I'm going to get rid of this piece of paper so you might not be able to see too much now. Alright, so your clear panel is going to look like this. All your caps are going to be facing on the inside of your bag so that when you look into your bag, you're going to see the caps. The other side should have all of your studs. This is going to be flush with the lining so you won't see the studs. We're going to grab our lining and you're going to need a 1/2 inch from the bottom and a 1/2 inch from the top and center your clear panel. I am going to grab, I've grabbed one of my weights and it's going to kind of help keep it in place so that I don't have to keep fussing with moving it around. You don't want to move this around because if you go ahead and put a cap in there and it's not in the right spot, it'll all be messed up. So I'm going to take my awl, and I'm going to take my lining and lift it up, and I'm going to feel with my finger where that socket is. Okay, I'm going to poke a hole through my lining. Your cap is going to go on the wrong side of your lining, like that. And then on the right side of your lining is going to go your socket. So you're going to put it just like that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and snap those in place so that my panel will stay in place as I'm working on it. So I'm going to go on this side, same thing, lifting up my lining, feeling with my finger. You should be able to feel like the center of your socket. That's why I use that particular one, so I'd be able to feel it. You can put your awl through there, grab a cap, put it through the back side, the wrong side of your lining fabric. Grab your socket and put that in there. Bella, what are you doing? Alright. Okay. If you want to, you could check and make sure that they're snapping together. And you're just going to do the same thing to the last two. If you want to, and this is only if you want to, you could put another one in the center. Just measure ½ an inch up and find the center. I may do that off camera, but just find the center, put another one ½ an inch up, and then that way you don't have to worry about your ETA board kind of sliding through the bottom. I mean, it's on the bottom of the purse. It's not going to go too far. Okay, now that this is done, what you're going to need to do is go to your sewing machine, and you're going to need to base stitch all the way around the edges so that your lining and your outer panel are one piece, and then we will go to the next step. Alright, I have got a 4-stitch length, and then I'm just going to go all the way around and base stitch the lining and the outer panel together. Alright, so this is all base stitched together. I did add another snap in the center. If you wanted to, you could go overkill and put them on the sides, but I'm going to stop there. Need to make sure that you don't put too many in so that your ETA board fits like it's supposed to. May need to round out the edges just to make sure that they kind of go around these snaps. We'll get there. Alright, that's done. Let's grab our zipper gusset and our zipper. So you've got your zipper outer, your zipper lining, and then your zipper is about 15 inches. What we're going to do is we're going to take our outer, and I measured in 2 inches from the side. I measured 2 inches in, 1 1/4 inch up, 1 1/4 inch down, and that gave me my ½ an inch zipper gusset. Your zipper rectangle should be 14 inches. So if you've measured right, 2 inches in on this side, 2 inches in on this side, it should be 14 inches, and then you should have an 1 1/4 and an 1 1/4 on this side. Now that that's done, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our lining and we're going to place our outer panel with our lining right side to right side. Then we're going to take this to the sewing machine and we're going to sew that rectangle just like you would if you were installing a zipper pocket. So let's take that to the sewing machine. Alright, so we have got our 3-stitch length, and then what we're going to do is just sew along the line that we made for our zipper gusset rectangle. Alright, now that we've got these two sewn together right side to right side, I am going to make myself a little 1/2 inch triangle on each side. Just like that. We're doing just like we would a zipper pocket. I'm going to connect those two triangles. I don't do this a lot in my videos, and I don't want anybody to get just completely thrown off by this. So you've got your two triangles and your line. You need to cut down this line and stop where the triangles start, and then cut on those triangles. Alright, so you're going to make sure that you don't accidentally cut where you've sewn and cut your threads. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some 1/2 inch double-sided tape. This is going to help my lining stick to the back of my outer panel, so it's a little easier to work with. Why is this? Alright, so that's like that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our lining and press it to the inside all the way around. Kind of roll the edges of your lining into the inside of your zipper pouch. And we're going to do that all the way around so that it kind of stays in place, and just finger pressing it for now. And then we'll take that double-sided tape paper off, and it will help the lining stay down because you can't really iron this. So we really need that double-sided tape to kind of hold it into place. Okay. Now that that's done, I'm going to take one side at a time, and I'm going to take the paper off, and then I'm going to push that lining onto that double-sided tape. Alright, it should look like this. Okay, we're going to grab our 15-inch zipper, and we're going to need some 1/4 inch double-sided tape. Go ahead and put that on. Now you need to grab your zippers. So I'm going to put one on at one end and one on the other so that it opens up from the center. So you're going to put your left side of your zipper on first, then your right side. And if you've done it right, your edges will be nice and straight. Okay, should look like so. Alright, next thing we're going to do, we're going to take one side of our paper off and then center the zipper on the ends, and then center the zipper opening onto the zipper. This is why I only do one side of my zipper at a time, so that if I need to adjust things, it's a little bit easier working with one side than it is two sides. Okay, if that looks good, go ahead, lift this up, take that paper off that side, and then let it fall where it wills. Now we're going to take this to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew all the way around our rectangle. Alright, so I have got a 4 stitch length, and I'm just using my sewing foot as a guide to the edge. You can do like 1/8 an inch if you want to. Hang on to your thread when you get started so that you can pull your threads through when you're finished, and then just sew all the way around. Alright, we've got our zipper gusset done. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab 2 pieces of our 1-inch webbing that are 3 inches long. We're going to grab our 2 D-rings, and then we're going to grab a couple of clips. I am going to take my webbing and put it through one of my D-rings and then close it up. If you wanted to, you could take this to the sewing machine first and base stitch this closed. It's up to you. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put it with about 1/4 of an inch overhang and clip it in place. I'm going to take my other D-ring and slip it on, and same thing, about 1/4 of an inch overhang and clip it on. Now we're grabbing both the lining and the outer fabric, and we're going to go ahead to the sewing machine and baste those on at 1/8 of an inch with a 4 stitch length. Alright, now that those are baste stitched on, we want to grab our bottom outer and our bottom lining, and we're going to put right sides together. Make sure that your red is with your red and your blue is with your blue. We're going to put right sides together, and we're going to clip the lining, the outer zipper gusset, and the outer bottom gusset all together. So it should look like that. Then we're going to grab our lining and place it right side to right side of your zipper gusset. Alright, I just wanted to make sure that my lining is all going the same direction. It really doesn't matter because nobody's going to be able to see it, but it's fine. Alright, now we're going to go to the other end and do the same thing, attaching the blue with bottom gusset to the blue zipper gusset, putting right sides together. And then grabbing the other end of your lining and putting it right sides together. And then we're going to take this to the sewing machine and we're going to sew down each side 1/4 of an inch. Alright, so I have got my 3 stitch length, and I'm going to go real slow because I still have my 12 needle in, and it's going to have to go through all of these layers and that D-ring. Alright, so we've got that all sewed together. The next thing we're going to do is take right sides out and match up our lining. Ooh. I'm going to clip on both sides of my lining so that my lining and my outer become one piece. And then I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and baste stitch down both sides. And I'm going to go ahead and do around my zipper too, because I haven't done that yet. And just make a big circle and make it so that my lining and my outer are just one piece to have to deal with to put on the rest of my stuff. So let's go do that. Got a 4 stitch length, and then I'm just going to go all the way around 1/8 of an inch, connecting my lining and my outer panels together. Alright, so your gusset will look like this. It'll be one nice piece to have to work with. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to put the sides of the top of your zipper gusset together and find the center on both sides. Then you'll put the centers, the side seams together, and then you'll find the bottom center of your bottom gusset. Then we're going to take our back panel and we're going to fold it in half, find the center of the top and the center of the bottom. That's how we're going to add our gusset. So, wrong side out. We're going to make sure that our zipper is at the top with the top of our panel, and make sure that our red is with the red and our blue is with the blue. And just match up your notches at the top and the bottom, and then go ahead and clip all the way around. Alright, so this is a tight gusset. If you want to double check that the red and the black and all on the other side, tops and bottom, are matching up. You can. We did the best that we could with the artwork, is just what happens. The gusset is tight. You're going to need to make some clips around the edges so that it'll fall. I'm going to try and fix it as I sew around. I'm just going to sew 1/8 of an inch with a 4 stitch length. Alright, so we've got that, our back panel all sewed on. We're going to grab a 1-inch wide strip of binding, and then we're just going to go ahead and bind all the way around. I'm going to take my 1-inch webbing and fold it in half, and then I'm going to cut at an angle so that some of that bulk in my seam will be cut out. I'm going to put that point to the center and then fold over, and then we'll just start. I like to start and stop my binding where my zipper is, or like at the top of my bag, so that when a customer is looking inside of a bag, that's not the first thing they see, say like in the bottom of the bag. It just kind of stands out like a sore thumb. I'm going to go ahead and clip this all the way around, and then with a 4 stitch length I'm going to sew at 1/4 of an inch and sew on my binding, and then we will put the front on, and we are almost done with the bag portion. You're going to get a 4 stitch length at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Alright, so we've got our binding on to our back panel. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our front panel. Now I went ahead and I took my little clear snap piece for our ITA part. I went ahead and took that off so I don't have to fight with it when I'm trying to turn it inside out, and just in general, one more thing to be in the way. So now go ahead and fold your front in half, make a center mark at the top and make a center mark at the bottom. We're going to make sure that the blue side is with the blue, the top is with the top, and then I'm going to clip all the way around. I am going to make some clips in my corners so that they will lay flat, and then we'll take it to the sewing machine. Alright, again with a 4 stitch length and 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Alright, so that's on there. Now we're going to grab our 1-inch binding and go all the way around just like we did on the other side. Alright, again a 4 stitch length with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Alright, so we have the front and the back on. What we're going to do is turn this inside out and birth our bag. Very carefully, I would start with the corners of the bottom of my bag. Alright, so I have a little bit more fussing to do with it to get it just right, to get the edges to lay like they're supposed to. I'm going to put my clear piece back on the inside and snap all the snaps together. Then I'm going to go ahead and I am going to work on the ITA part. So we'll grab these two and find some thin cardboard, kind of like a cereal box, and we will put that together. Alright, so I wanted to show you guys something. I have these little Held-Tex pieces that I cut out, and I keep them in my desk because I use them all the time. So when you have seams like this that just kind of want to bubble and don't want to sit like they're supposed to, you can take one of these and put them on the edge because you don't want to mess up your vinyl. And then you take one of these big like office clips and you clip them on there. I'm going to do both sides, the front and the back, top and the bottom, and then I just kind of let it sit there for about 20 minutes and then move them and do another section. And it just kind of helps your bag, it kind of trains it to be like it's supposed to, because it doesn't want to lay flat. When you take it off, see my back panel kind of want to lift up like that. We don't want it to look like that. We want it to lay flat like that. So that's how I train my sides to do that. Alright, let's do our strap. So I have got 60 inches of webbing for my strap, my adjustable strap. I've got my strap adjuster, and then I've got my 2 swivel clasps. What we're going to do first is we're going to make sure that we have burnt the ends. If you have not burnt the ends, burn the ends. Because you don't want this unraveling on you. Pretty sure. Alright. Take one end and put your swivel clasp, put your strap adjuster on. We're going to give ourselves about 1.5 inches. For now I'm just going to clip it in place, but I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew a 1-inch square. Then with your strap connector folded over and your edge right here, you're going to go all the way down, keeping the strap nice and straight. You're going to put your swivel clasp on just like that. Then you're going to take this end, keeping everything straight. So back up through the side that's folded over, and then put it back down the other side, just like that. Then you're going to grab your other swivel clasp, fold it over, and clip it in place. So it should look like that. Take that to the sewing machine and make a 1-inch square. I just started sewing like I didn't need to record. Oh my goodness me, if I had $1 for every time I did something stupid. Okay, I am sewing my little square. I started on the edge, sewed up, around, and you're just going to be going around. Alright, now I'm going to do the one near my strap adjuster. Alright, now your strap is done. Alright, so now we're going to work on the ITA part of the bag. Your ITA screen needs to be cut down to 6.5 tall by 7 3/4 wide. I took one of my panels, I placed it between all of my snaps, and then I kind of rounded out the edges so that it would fit inside of all of those snaps. Then I took it and I cut out my lining for my ITA, and then I went and got a pizza box or you could use a cereal box, whatever you've got on hand, and I use it as a template and cut that out. So now you're going to put the front with the cardboard in between, and then add the back onto the back. And the great thing about this is you can use either side. If you want to see one side or the other, you can do that. Now we're going to sew around this at 1/8 inch seam allowance, and things may shift around a little bit, and you may need to go back and kind of straighten them out or trim some things down, and that's fine, just as long as it's all sewn together in one piece. So let's go do that. Alright, I have got a 4 stitch length, and then I'm just going to go 1/8 inch all the way around, and I am going to have to go back and trim some stuff, and that's fine. It's not a big deal. Alright, so we've got all of that done. Our little ITA board is finished. Next thing I did was I took my lighter and I just kind of went around the edges and melted the waterproof canvas, so I don't have to worry about it kind of unraveling after time. You could leave it just like this, or you could use some kind of elastic binding if you wanted to. I'm going to do that real quick and I'll show you how I do it. But just essentially you're going to do it just like you would regular binding, and I'm going to do it at the machine while I'm sewing. So let's go do that. I've got my stitch length at a 4. My binding is a 5/8, and then I've just put it on each side. I'm going to start sewing in front of it because this elastic likes to move, and I don't particularly care for working with it, but here we are. And then you'll just sew all the way around. Alright, so I went ahead and bound mine. That way it just looks a little bit nicer. I think the elastic was really nice, so that you don't have any puckering or anything around the corner, so I would suggest the elastic binding. I went ahead and I put my plastic in just at the bottom, and then we're going to slide this in, snap our snaps up at the top. You may have to move your panel just a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top of this panel right here and I'm going to tuck it up underneath of my binding so that when the purse is closed, it'll kind of go over the top of that and it won't, your bag won't move. Alright, she's done! Alright, so what did you guys think? I hope you love this bag. It was very simple and easy, give or take. It took a little bit longer than some of the other bags that I've been working on lately. So I did both of my bags a little differently. I did the one without foam and just kind of Decoville Light, and then I did this one with some foam. If you want to see how I did that, it's after the credits. You'll be able to see how I did it. I feel like it gives it just a tiny bit more structure, give or take. So just whatever you prefer. I hope you guys like it. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up. Or if you're one of those 80% of people who are watching my video but not subscribing, please help a sister out. I am so close to 10,000, and that was kind of my goal for this year, and I'm so close. Please, please, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. And if you're in the middle of the day and you're trying to put your bag together and you're just like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, K&A has been giving all of their testers, we have a whole group of people that are doing the testing for these bags. So they have all made them. Certain ones have made certain bags, but they've all been made by somebody else other than me. So if it's in the middle of the day and you're just like, I need some help, go on K&A Custom Fabrics Facebook page and say, hey, I need some help. And there will be somebody there to answer you. Chances are good you'll probably get me a lot faster on Facebook than you would on YouTube. I check that a lot more often because I'm constantly getting messages from people on my phone just for different things. So anyway, because I use my phone as my business. So anyway, I hope you guys like this video. I hope you guys like the bag. And thanks for joining us again on FaithWorks Designs. Bye guys. Alright, so I wanted to show you this just in case you decide to make yours in foam. What I did was put the foam in the center between these two pieces and then just kind of base stitched all the way around so that this is one piece once those pieces are ready to go. Next thing I did was I put the foam again in between both layers, your lining and your outer. There we go, I can talk. What I'm going to do now is I am going to have to cut this out and then cut my foam out, and this is going to be so much fun. That wasn't a great idea. It was a pain in the butt to try and get all of that foam out from in here so that when you're looking at it from the right side that it's not poking through, and I can still see it in a couple places, but I'm moving on. If you're going to do the foam, try and do it so it's not in that window. Alright, when you're doing the foam, you need to add it to each of your pieces so that it's all foamatized. I'm just going to base stitch all the way around all of my pieces and then just put it together the way that I'm putting it together in the rest of the video. I just wanted to show you guys all of the pieces with all of the foam in there, and then you guys can just do what you need to do and finish up.